So professionally, I have done my BTech from IIT Delhi in electrical engineering, and I'm currently pursuing my master's in research there. Uh, Personally, sir, I believe I'm a person, a work in progress, sir. I constantly evolve to be a better version of myself every single day, uh, in all fields, sir.
But what about your schooling and where do you come from?
So I belong to New Delhi. I have been schooled at Sanskriti School, Chanakyapuri, and henceforth I opted for pursuing engineering. Research has been a very integral part of my whole undergraduation, sir.
Okay. And you, after passing out, are you working anywhere?
So I'm pursuing my master's in research from IIT Delhi, sir. I'm not working.
All right. We start with Dr. Singh.
Okay. I see from your DAV, you were declared City Women Leader of 2018.
Sir.
Why?
So City Group, as part of the Inclusion and Diversity Initiative, recognizes women leaders and exemplary potential.
Okay, so you tell me what leadership quality you have that will help you in your future career when you become a district magistrate.
So I think the first and foremost is to have a very clear perspective, sir. Both from both a very large holistic perspective and one from one which is detailed, sir. The other thing, sir, I believe is that as a leader, it's very important to correctly identify the problem, sir. And only then I believe one can find the right solution. At times in a team, sir, the question is, when something goes wrong, the question is, whose fault is it? Whereas if we change the question to what we can do now.
You have to be brief,
sir.
No discussion.
Sir.
Okay.
I believe I'm good at finding the right problem, sir, and henceforth the right solution, sir. And of course, as a leader, at times you are led and at times you lead, sir. So I believe I have the patience.
Okay. You tell me you have number of quality. One quality, leadership quality that you don't have and which should be very important and which will help you in your future career.
Sir, it is the ability to be to accept people the way they are, even if they don't have the same passion about a particular cause.
So this is, you don't have?
No, sir. I take time, sir, to accept that there may be other priorities in people's lives which they may hold over the same task.
Okay. So what are you doing for it? Are you doing something?
Sir, in my limited experience of the past few years, I have been a part of multiple teams, both as a leader and as being led. And I constantly strive to rectify this, sir.
Okay. Now, are you interested in international politics?
As part of whatever I have prepared, sir.
Okay. So, nowadays we have heard something called Abraham Accord.
Sir.
Have you heard of it?
Sir.
What is this Abraham Accord?
Sir. So it refers to the normalization of relations with Israel as a country, which couple of Arabian countries have made an endeavor to solve, sir.
So who are these countries involved in this?
So for instance, UAE has signed a pact. I am unable to recall other names.
With Israel?
With Israel, sir.
Which other country? Bahrain?
Bahrain, maybe even Kuwait, sir. I'm just trying,
Not
sir.
Kuwait.
Okay.
Morocco.
Morocco.
And many, Sudan.
Sudan, sir.
Why they are doing this? Can you tell me? All of a sudden, why?
So there has been, so Israel has always been backed by the US, sir. In multiple fora we have seen. And there is a growing interest with the changing geopolitics, sir.
What is the changing geopolitics?
So, increasing focus on Israel's capabilities as a power, the way, for instance, the recent Israel-Palestine issue also, sir, how the strikes were conducted by Israel against Palestine, sir. Their increasing military capability increasing techno power like Iron Dome, sir.
So these are not new. Israel is good at it for a number of years.
Sir.
What is the change in geopolitics that you talked? Okay.
I'm not sure, sir.
You don't know. You just tell me briefly,
Sir.
is it good or bad for India? What is India's interest here now? Is it good or bad for India?
So India has till now maintained a very solid neutral position at different fora with respect to Palestine and Israel. But this year we are marking nearly 30 years of our relations as well with Israel, sir. So it does point to a very solid, very encouraging trend emerging, sir, in the future, possibly.
Okay.
Sir.
Thank you.
Narayani, you come from Delhi.
Sir.
Central government has introduced a bill in the parliament merging the various corporations into
Sir.
one.
Sir.
What are your views?
So the origin of this bill can be traced in wanting to decentralize governance. Even though the objective has not been clearly achieved, the resulting additional problem that surfaced was that SDMC, the South Delhi Municipal Corporation, has been very I'm sorry, pardon for that, sir. It has been very financially comfortable, whereas North Delhi Municipal Corporation, having most of the social welfare infrastructures like schools, hospitals, has been facing a major financial crunch, sir. So possibly this can be.
And what about East?
So the East one typically has localities which do not have the highest per capita income. They have comparatively a very low per capita income.
Financially they are uncomfortable.
They are uncomfortable.
But what is
sir.
the reason given by the Home Minister in the Parliament?
For the financial crunch?
For justifying merger?
So one was, of course, they mentioned was to equalize the financial distribution across different MCDs. The other is to limit the number of seats to just 250.
No, that is in the merged entity.
Sir.
But otherwise there is a different reason they have given. What has caused financial distress?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of.
You have not read?
Not a particularly different reason, sir.
Achha. Okay, we'll discuss when you come for feedback.
Sir.
Now let's move to a different subject. Power situation in the country.
Sir.
We have made a commitment in the climate talks,
Sir.
climate change talks, that we will go to 500 gigawatts
Sir.
by 2030,
Sir.
which will be 50% of our capacity.
Sir.
What are your views on this?
So
First tell me what is the situation as of now,
Sir.
and then talk about whether this is achievable or not.
Sir. So the current situation, of course, shows very heavy reliance on our coal imports, on a lot of crude, which is also affecting our current account deficit, sir. But going forward, not just for our environmental commitments.
How much is coal dependence on coal?
Sir, nearly about 80%, 83%, I think, sir.
83% of what?
Of the whole power generation, sir.
No. Anyway, carry on.
Sir. Going forward, not just as per the environmental commitment we have made, but the growing trend where each consumer is also becoming a prosumer. Each person is also producing energy at their own end in a very decentralized yet scalable manner, sir. So I believe we have made very recent strides of nearly about 100 gigawatts of solar power, and if all the public institutions, as is being projected, do get covered by rooftop solar, we do have increasing wind energy, sir. So I believe personally that this will be.
Narayani, you have missed the question. See,
Sir.
there are two aspects to the commitment, or rather the announcement made by the Prime Minister.
Sir.
50% of our capacity,
Sir.
and 500 gigawatts.
Sir.
There are two aspects.
Sir.
So 500 gigawatts has to be 50% of our capacity,
Sir.
which means our total
1000 gigawatts.
capacity should go to 1000 gigawatts.
Sir.
Is that possible?
In my particular view, yes, sir.
How? What is the present scenario?
So currently, sir, we have about 100 gigawatt, which is coming from all renewable power.
Total capacity.
I'm not sure of the exact number, sir.
That's why,
Sir.
because you don't know the figures, that's why you are saying it is
Sir.
feasible.
Sir,
Okay. Now my last question to you.
sir.
What do you understand by CSR?
Sir, corporate social responsibility or CSR is initiatives by the corporate sector, by the companies as part of the Act 2013, wherein they undertake social initiatives, whether be for gender or the other.
Do you think it's a good thing or not so good? Forcing companies to invest, like
Sir.
to share part of their profit in these activities.
So, if we imagine the whole society as one large whole ecosystem, then companies have their own part to play, sir. So, personally, I believe that it is just giving back to the society. It also encourages lot of empathy,
But making it mandatory by law.
sir.
You have made a provision in the Companies Act
Sir,
which makes it mandatory. Otherwise also they were doing CSR. It's not
Sir.
that they were not doing CSR
sir.
before this provision came into existence.
Sir. So, but personally, I believe that some of the some of the well-meaning, overall overarching initiatives, even if mandatorized for a particular time period, will help get that shift for large number of firms also, sir, who were initially not part of this.
All right. Aradhana.
Okay, Narayani, you belong to Delhi.
Ma'am.
How many cities have there been in Delhi?
I beg your pardon, ma'am.
There have been many cities over a period of time
Ma'am.
where Delhi now lies. So how
Ma'am.
many have been there? Can you name some? Any?
If I'm understanding the question correctly, ma'am, something like earlier it was Indraprasth.
Yes, you're understanding correctly.
Ji.
How many?
Just a second, ma'am.
Never mind, if you have to count, let it be.
Ji.
Okay. Now, what do you think is the single largest factor in women's empowerment, for empowering women?
Ma'am, I believe it is building awareness, ma'am. Awareness of.
Awareness of what?
Sorry, ma'am.
Awareness of what?
Ma'am, awareness of their rights, awareness of their freedom, awareness of their choices.
So what will awareness do if they are not economically independent?
Ma'am, for a girl to be aware that she has the right to study at least till she's 14
That's not
years.
enough. She has no negotiating capability.
Ma'am.
Negotiating power comes with economic independence.
Ma'am.
No?
Yes, ma'am. But ma'am, I believe that if at least that awareness is there, that she even has a choice for a vocational education. She even has choice to become economically independent. She has a choice maybe over her reproductive rights. Personally, I believe,
Okay.
ma'am.
Now, do economic affluence and status of women go together? More affluent a family or a society, the women's status is high. Do they go together necessarily?
Not necessarily, ma'am.
Some examples?
Just a second, ma'am.
Okay, never mind, let it be. Now, there have been some changes in the MTP Act.
Ma'am.
What changes are there and what impact do they have?
Ma'am, the earlier medical termination pregnancy bill mandated just 12 weeks for one registered medical practitioner to certify for abortion, and 20 weeks with two registered medical practitioners, ma'am. They've now increased the limit to 20 weeks and 24 weeks respectively.
So why should they have done that?
Ma'am, there are a lot of, with increasing child rapes also, despite a crackdown on these cases, there have been increasing child rapes over
So
the
is there any
years.
conditionality of that 24 weeks or is just blanket?
Ma'am, so 20 weeks is with one practitioner, 24
No,
weeks is
conditionality in terms of in these situations this happens. That's a
above
process.
24 weeks. Yes, ma'am, it depends on whether the child, if the fetus may have some abnormality or it may endanger the condition
All
of
right.
the.
Do you think the objectives of PCPNDT Act have been met?
Ma'am, the objectives have been met to a certain extent. We are seeing with Haryana being the
What has the ratio moved up to now and what was it earlier?
ma'am, in terms of sex ratio at birth, no. We have a sex ratio of 899 from, I believe, a figure of 900 something, ma'am, sex ratio at birth. But child sex ratio has improved definitely, ma'am. We have now a figure of
So what
9.
is PCPNDT targeting?
It is targeting abortions, ma'am.
So child, is it relevant for PCPNDT purposes? Strictly, technically?
Yes, ma'am. I completely agree, ma'am. But the recent sample registration survey is possibly pointing, the figure that I quoted of 899 points to 2011, ma'am. So the sample registration survey, ma'am, has pointed that sex ratios declines have started reversing, ma'am.
Okay. Now, what can India do in Ladakh? What are the issues for India and what should India be pursuing? Specifics to what sites in Ladakh?
Ma'am, right from Pangong So till all the finger areas, we have had an increasing build-up of Chinese military activity, ma'am, which both satellite images as well as people on ground have confirmed.
So they have occupied Indian territory in the last round?
This was June 2020, I believe.
Yes, have they occupied Indian territory?
They were present on Indian territory, ma'am. I believe there's finger 8. I'm not sure exactly of the finger number, ma'am. But there has been some part of territory where there were incursion.
But the PM said clearly that nobody entered our territory, not a single footstep came. He said that in Parliament, he announced it in the media.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
how was that?
Ma'am, but as far as I remember, the people, we lost about 20 soldiers in that standoff, ma'am. And they were on Indian territory, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. My last question.
Ma'am.
Tell me two things that are there for higher education in the new education policy.
Ma'am, one is interdisciplinarity, ma'am. And especially with the increasing common university entrance test, that is bound to increase. The second thing, ma'am, is having teaching universities separate from research universities, ma'am. So we'll be having 3 sort of universities, one which are more teaching oriented, the others which are more research oriented, ma'am. And that might enable us to reach the target of top 50 in terms of research.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Narayani,
Sir.
you see, we are presently transferring the electrical energy
Sir.
by using high voltage circuit,
Sir.
AC circuit.
Sir.
That means we are raising the voltage pretty high level,
Sir.
transporting it and again down converting it.
Sir.
And in the process there is lot of losses are there,
Sir.
transmission losses are there.
Sir.
My suggestion is we use low voltage DC transmission.
Sir.
That means we don't raise the voltage too high and use the direct current
Sir.
and then transfer it. There will be no losses, that electrical losses.
Sir.
What are the problems associated with DC transmission of
Sir.
electrical energy?
Sir.
Say at low voltage.
Sir. So one problem which will remain common in DC transmission is of course the problem of circuit breakers and protective relays. We do not have natural zeros in our system and hence introducing that requires some complicated circuitry to be built in, like an SE resonant circuit, sir. The other problem, sir, is that our infrastructure in terms of transmission lines will be required to change, sir. If we go on to low voltage, the insulator width and the area over which the the cross-sectional area over which the transmission is happening, that will bound to increase, sir. So as a result, low voltage DC transmission may not be the rightmost solution.
What
sir.
about high voltage DC transmission?
So I believe, sir, we have a 765 kV transmission which is being planned and has also already been piloted also, sir. And we are planning to move towards 1100 kilowatt
Many
also,
people
sir.
say that it is economically viable only for long distances.
Sir.
Why it is so?
So there is a trade-off. If we actually do the electrical analysis, there is a point nearly about 700 kilometers over which HVDC transmission, specifically in terms of losses, proves to be more economical in case it is
Actually, endpoint infrastructure
Sir.
is very heavy cost is required.
Sir, the
That's why there is a
distribution.
problem there.
Sir.
Okay. Seeing the present lot of officers, the lady officers in IPS,
Sir.
do you think anyone can be a role model?
Sir, if I may be allowed to give a personal example, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I belong to Women of STEM, which is Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics, sir.
Mhm.
And despite being from one of the leading institutes of the country, I believe that there is specifically a mental change which is required. Not in the faculty, sir, but in the very people who are with us. Where I don't need a woman tag to associate with me, sir. But at the same time, sir, IPS probationers such as I think Miss Kiran Shruti, she maybe about 2 years back, she won all the medals, sir, at the NPA, which was maybe one of the first also for a lady probationer to win nearly 4 to 5 medals, sir. I can, as far as the recent example goes, sir, it is Miss Kiran Shruti DB, sir.
Okay. Any those who have done some say 5 to 10 years job among
Sir,
them,
I can remember
or
that.
something more?
So I can remember her namesake, who is also my alumnus from IIT Delhi, Miss Kiran Bedi, sir, who is, despite having names associated with her in terms of Crane Bedi and multiple things, she has revolutionized a lot of things, not just in prisons, but also on our roads and streets, sir.
Okay. Your school, the Sanskriti,
Sir.
had a motto.
Sir.
Where from they borrowed it or lifted it or copied it? Sanskriti school. What is the motto? Do you remember?
Sir,
It's
I
a
believe
long-
the motto was to create happy thinking, feeling Sanskritians.
The knowledge is liberation.
Knowledge is Vidya cha vimuchyate, sir.
From where it came?
Uh,
Basically Buddhist philosophy.
Sir.
His time is running out.
Sir.
So, a few lines about it. It's an important school.
Sir.
Many people want to know about it.
Sir.
Many people want to criticize about it.
Sir.
So, have few lines on Sanskriti school.
Sir.
Okay?
Sir.
Yeah, that will.
All right, Narayani,
Thank
please
you
wait
so
for
much,
a few minutes.
I'll do that, sir.
We'll call
Thank
you for feedback.
Thank you, sir.